1, 2, 3, 4. Hello and welcome to the Rant. Today I'm going to rant about just, bad luck, salespeople, internet help, just help in general on anything. So basically, I was probably 19. My wife was pregnant for my oldest son, and we were renting and all that, and I decided I wanted to get a house. So didn't have much money, make like $7 an hour, plus I did a paper out, and so I find this condemned house that only needed $500 down, $500 a month in Pontiac on Meadow Lawn in Ypsilanti. So I decide that I'm going to buy that. She's going to move in with her mom while I'm working on it, and I'll live there while I'm working, and I can take showers and all that at her mom's house. So I get in the house, and the first thing I do is I have the gas turned on because it's getting kind of cold, and so they turn the gas on. I got the furnaces all fired up, so I've got it warm. I got heat going, and I'm cleaning up the house. I'm like living in this one little breezeway room between the garage and the house because it had its own little furnace, and the rest of the house had shit, cleaning shit out. And I had to fix this wall because the roof was caving in, so I had to jack the roof up, and I replaced an outside wall. And so now I'm to the point where I need to turn the water on. So the water department comes on, goes to turn the water on, and it's leaking like a sift out by the road on the other side of the fence, which the county owns, I thought, because you can't do anything there without their permission. So lady's like, no, that's your problem. I'm like, no, that's your problem. It's on your side of the fence. So we argued back and forth, and she said, well, I'll have them come out here and fix it, and if it's your problem, it's $6,000, and if it's our problem, it's free. I don't got $6,000, but she don't know that, and I figure once they do it, what are they going to do? Dig it back up, take it out? Have to bill me. So when they went to come dig it, come to find out the guy who took the gas line out hit it with the backhoe, and there was instructions that he did it. So basically that didn't cost me nothing. So I'm like, bonus. All right, so they turn it on and it's shut off by the meter, and meter lady leaves, and then so I turned it on from the meter into the house, and every fucking pipe in the house broke. Every single one. And they're running under these custom cabinets, not custom fancy cabinets, just somebody home built these cabinets over top of the plumbing, and it goes in the wall, and on the other side of the wall was the bathroom. It was like maybe a 10-foot span in the kitchen. So I have to rip all the cupboards out, which aren't usable, and the top ones were just trash, no doors, none. So I just gutted the kitchen, and I decided, hey, I'm going to do some plumbing. I seen my old man solder. It can't be that hard. So I go to the local whatever. It could have been a Home Depot. I don't know if it was back 25 years ago if they had Home Depot. I don't recall where I went to get the copper pipe, but I went somewhere. And I talked to him. He's like, you need flux, and you need this. So I get it all. I'm in there, and I got this little pen fucking, what do they call it? A little pen heater thing. So I'm using that to heat the joints. And I didn't heat the joints. I just heated the solder and dribbled it on the joints because that's what I thought you did. So I spent hours and hours and hours doing all these joints, heating the solder and letting it run on them, and use gloppy fucking things on there, and turn the fucking water on, and all the pipes break. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go back to the Home Depot or wherever the fuck it was, and ask the guy, and he starts laughing at me. He's like, no, dude. He goes, you're supposed to use a torch. You're supposed to heat the joint with the flux in there, and then you touch it with the soldering iron, and that will suck it in, and that's how you do it. Golden, I go there, do it all. It's great. Only had a couple leaks, Didn't have the internet to tell you how to do shit, so didn't know you could put bread in the tube to absorb the water, because you can't get all the water out. So I finally got it all done, and now I got no cupboards. And, the drywall didn't cost nothing because I did it all from the backside in the bathroom there, so now I need cupboards. I don't have shit for money. I'm working on this house with whatever I make from my paper out that week, and that'll keep me busy for the week. And so I'm like at the Salvation Army or somewhere, and I find a used basin and like 4 cupboards for $150. And I go put it in, and now I need a countertop, but I don't have enough cupboards to do the whole wall. But what are you gonna do? So I basically go buy this 12-foot countertop or 10-foot or whatever it was, and I had to make a cut, and I put a 2x4 on that wall, ran across. Regardless, we moved in, lived there 5 years till my kid was ready to go to school, and I wasn't sending him to Pontiac school, so we moved to Clarkston, bought a little single-wide trailer, paid cash for it. And So we lived there and we moved on, and then eventually we get to a big fancy house with a big pool and a big ass fucking house payment. And I'm deciding the economy's starting to crash that we need to just go pay cash for a house. And my wife's not with me on this, trust me, 100%. She still goes by the old house, and any little thing they do, she'd be, why did they do that? Why did they do that? It was a beautiful house, don't get me wrong, but it was only beautiful so everybody could go look at your house. You got to make a big fucking payment. What is that? That's stupid. You fucking still slept in the bed with my eyes closed, you know. So I ended up looking for houses. Well, real estate agents don't want to sell you the house you want. They want to sell you as much as they can because they're working on commission, you know. So the ladies, I'm like, I got 50 grand. I want to buy a house for 50 grand or damn close to that that needs work. So she's taking me to $120,000 houses that you could see out the roof. And I'm like, no. And I didn't, some of this shit I wasn't even going to put a bid in because I didn't want to really work on it. So I started searching myself and found the house that I'm in now. It was in Ortonville, which is only like an eighth of a mile from the Clarkston borderline. My wife works at the school so she can get the kid in for his last couple years, you know. She'll just have to work for 2 more years before she retires, you know. And because she just did it, you know, while he was in elementary schools, so she could see him for a couple hours a day. Then he went to junior high, and I wouldn't let her move, and she still hung out with the ladies to give her something to do, you know. And but now she has to stay to keep him in school till he graduates. Next year he'll be in the 11th grade, whatever. And then she can retire if she wants, you know, because the principal's like, so you're only going to be here 2 more years, right? I don't know what she's going to do. She can do whatever she wants. But anyway, so I come and I look at the house and I get in here and you could tell things leak, you know, the floors need to be repaired, but it's got a brand new roof on it, built in 95. It needs windows, carpet, paint, you know, flooring replaced because the toilets are fucking, everything's leaking. This whoever lived here didn't give a fuck. And so I look at the house and I go to the real estate lady. I said, okay, put a bid in for 50 grand. She's like, they're not going to take 50. I said, I didn't ask you what they would take. I said, put a bid in for 50. Well, they're not going to take it. I said, again, if you don't want to do it, I'll call another agent. Offer him 50 grand. And I think at this time it had been down to like 85 or some shit. I mean, you could see it rapidly going. They didn't live there. This is on a private road. You know, it's like 3 acres on a private road. None of the driveway's cleared. You can barely get into it. Ain't nobody in the house. It's freaking trashed. And the economy's bad. And so I put the offer in, and they refused. And I'm like, whatever. I keep looking. And about 2 weeks later, I get a phone call from my lady. And she's like, can you do 55 and close in 2 days? I'm like, yeah. I said, okay. So they took 55. So we go to close. Well, come to find out, they hadn't paid taxes in years, and by the time they paid the agents and the taxes, you know, they were only going to get like $5 grand themselves. That's why they had to raise it. It was either that or let the bank have it and they'd get zero. And I think they were 2 couple, had like 13 kids, and they're like, the neighbors are going to bring you cakes and stuff. They're really friendly. Well, come to find out, they were always fighting. Cops were always here. The neighbors hated them. But anyway. So I get the house, and this guy's like never did anything. There's like 4 propane pigs sitting out there, and it was empty. I made him. I said, I want the furnace to work before I buy it. You know, that was part of my contingency. That was the only contingency, is that I want the gas on the furnace work. You know, and so he had to get another pig and give him $50, just enough to turn it on. You know, because that's how propane's expensive. It's a pain in the ass. But I was told that there was gas lines out by the road. I just had a hook to it, which I eventually did. So, you know, I'm working on it. I just threw paint on it and threw some carpet in it, threw a new kitchen in it. Nothing fancy, just because she couldn't stand what was there. And this Mexican thing they had, it was like they took trowels and made these circle things and two-tone painted it, and it, you know, looked like a Mexican restaurant. So I spent time troweling, you know, and Smiths and trim that I didn't replace. I just painted it. I said, we'll get in and we'll do a room at a time. So I decided to start working on the bathroom. And it had like a little stall. I mean, the bathroom's huge. It's probably 14 by fucking 10, and has a big garden tub with this thing around it, and it has this little stall you could barely bend over in. And I'm like, well, I'll put a new shower in there. So I go looking at Home Depot, and they want $1 gazillion if you buy the hardware. And then I find this place on the internet that had a bathtub with a seat and closed shower top, and like back massagers. It had the side thing, it had the waterfall, had a radio in it. It was fucking sweet, and it was cheap. Well, compared to the other ones, I mean, it wasn't like $10, but it wasn't $5,000. So, and I called the guy up and asked him about it. He's like, yeah. So I saved my money until I got enough to pay for it. And then I called the guy, says, it's in stock, like your website says still. Yeah, I said, it's shipped today. He's like, yeah, if you pay for it on PayPal, it ships today. So I paid for it on PayPal. This is back in November. And so I paid for it. And then what happened was I called on Monday, and I'd already ripped the garden tub out because that's where it was going to go. It's like a corner round unit. And so basically, I called him on Monday for the tracking, and then this Chinese guy answers, hello. I said, I ordered the S1605, guys, on Friday. I want to get the tracking number for it. And he's like, oh, we have none. It's on back order. I'm like, on back order? I said, I asked the guy if you had it. He said, yeah. I said, if I pay today, does it ship today? He said, yeah. Oh, no. They're on back order. It'd be like 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait. Or I have another one I can ship. I'm like, no, that's the one I want. So I wait 3 weeks, and about 3 weeks I get a phone call from him. We are sorry, but some of the parts didn't come in, and they're getting all their shit from China and assembling a few pieces here is what they're doing. and so every time it takes boat lengths across the sea to get it. And so basically, he's like, I'll give you $100 off if you wait, and I had to wait another 2 months, I think. Or I'll give you $100 off something else. So that's the one I wanted, so I took the $100 off and I waited. So I finally get it in February. All right, and it's supposed to have a 5-year warranty and all this other shit. Well, obviously I knew because I got a good deal that the fixtures would be shitty. They're not going to put $4,000 fixtures in a $1,500 shower and sell it to you for $1,500. They're going to give you a decent shell, which is all glass and fiberglass bottom and top, but they're putting rinky-dink shit in it, whatever. So I get it, and they got this big crate, and I'm taking it apart, and I got to bring it in a piece at a time, and I'm grab the instructions, and the instructions are for like this square thing, and I got like this corner round thing. I'm like, man, so I call him like, you guys sent us the wrong instructions. And the guy goes, oh, no, that's the only instructions we have. I'm like, I said, none of these pieces even look like this. He's like, oh, just start putting it together. You'll figure it out. It's really easy. Well, I did figure it out, but I put things together upside down. Nothing said top, nothing said bottom, nothing said light. I'm looking at a picture like the old models used to do when you were a kid where you didn't know how shit went together. So after taking it apart and putting it back together like 60 times, I finally said, screw it. Got it done, put it in, and there's like this drain piece. Well, I put the drain on like they say. Besides all the other problems, I had to modify pieces that didn't work right because they have really shitty craftsmanship. The drain kept leaking, so I call back, and I'm like, yeah, this drain's leaking. And the guy goes to me, he goes, oh, yeah, the drain's really cheap. Most people just go buy one at Home Depot. I'm like, no, I have a 5-year warranty. You're going to send me a new drain because why should I have to go buy a new part first, a brand new thing? Worst customer service ever. He sent me a new one, whatever. But how can you tell somebody, oh, just go to Home Depot, buy a new one. Ours no good. No. You send me either a better one or a replacement that works because I paid for a thing to work. I should at least get to work one time, you know. So he sends it to me. I got to fix whatever's in there. But it's problems with everything. So then I decided to start doing podcasts, and I'm like, okay, I got one camera. It's an HD camera. I said, but I want multiple cameras, and I don't want to have somebody run it. So when I have people here, you know, you can have the shot on their face. So I start looking. I go, well, I'll just get a home security system. So I got an 8-camera one. I'm trying to find it cheap because I'm a cheap fuck. And I found one for like a couple $100, terabyte, 8 HD cameras. I'm like, golden. It says you can back it up. Seen the picture quality good enough for me. Buy it, and it comes from fucking China, and it gets here and got just like a couple instructions, you know. So I went and I figured it out. I recorded a little bit of something. So now I want to pull these multiple cameras off to get into my computer. So I buy an external hard drive. I plug it in and messing with it for hours. And I could see the hard drive, and it says it's 2 terabytes, but 0 available. And I'm reading. It doesn't tell me anything about these hard. It just says this is where you plug it in. There's like 3 USB ports. So I'm looking around. There's no help on their website. No help nowhere. So I'm Googling. I'm in these forums and reading. And the guy's like, well, basically you need a FAT32 drive, which is basically 32 gigs. You'd have to partition your drive to 32 gigs, make it a FAT file, and it'll work no matter, you know, how big it is. Well, I got little thumb drives, and I just formatted it to FAT32, and it was a 32 gig drive. I stick it in the back, and I can't see it. I stick it in the front, and I can't see it. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm moving around. I'm like, what the hell? Well, I put it in the third one finally. Well, come to find out, you can only put it in one slot, and then it reads it, and I got to download it. But I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on something they should have just had in the instructions. You need a FAT32 file, not this is plug it in for backup. This is all it said. Same thing with the shower. There ain't no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just here you are. So, all right, now I get the damn thing on the thumb drive. So now I have it. So I put it into my computer and I open up the only thing I got to work with, Movie Maker from Windows. Well, you can only pull one movie in at a time unless you chop it in clips. And I want to be able to switch from this camera to this camera to this camera to this camera. That's too much work. So I decided I'm going to buy some software that'll let me do it. So I bought some Sony software, and being cheap like I am, instead of buying the one with the disc and spending $400, I found this deal for like $80 where they basically, it said to download that you download it and then they'll give you the key and you go. Well, you do download it, but you have to wait for them to send you the card in the mail. So I had to wait 2 days, whatever. So I download this file and I got the key to put it in, but I download it and I start loading and everything loads. It gets all the way to finish and there's no icon. And it's nowhere on my hard drive. And I must have done this like 20 times. Now, mind you, I got like Pro Tools, Cubase, and everything else on this computer. And this ain't my first time at the rodeo with software. So I'm not stupid. So I'm like, fuck it. I will call Sony and talk to one of these techs. I'm going to have to shut something off or something. So I go to their website, and it's like, oh, well, in order to call and talk to a tech, you have to pay $29 for one phone call or $69 for like 6 months or 2 months or some shit, and $149 for a year. And I'm like, I ain't fucking paying for fucking tech. Really, I just bought software. I got to pay for your technical assistance, but you can do it online. So I got like this window browser, and I'm typing it in, and I'm talking to a lady. I'm like, basically, I've tried this 7 times, whatever. What does she do? She sends me a link to download the same thing I did. So I humored her, and I did it. I said, it went here, and it didn't do shit. And so then she passed me out to this other guy, and this other guy's like, well, go here. Oh, it should be there. I'm like, no, if you loaded it, it's there. I'm like, dude, I loaded it. It's not there. It's nowhere. Don't know where the fuck it went. Something's not letting it go on. I tried to explain what I had, and he's like, well, we need to put you to our tech, and the tech is like an email. So I sent an email to the tech, and what do? They sent me the same link the other fucking people do. It was the worst, horrible thing. So what I decided to do is I backed up my whole fucking system. I restored it to fucking factory. I loaded the software in first. Then I had to reload all my other software, and I've moved. I don't know where none of the fucking discs are, right? So when I'm in Pro Tools, the only thing I have is my upgrade, and you have to upgrade from an earlier version. So I'm upgrading from like this earlier version, but I can't find the earlier version. So I had to go buy an earlier version, download on eBay for $19 so I could use my upgrade. Just as a fucking hassle. Customer service sucks. The instructions suck. If you're going to spend 25 million hours making the software or the things for these drives, why can't you spend 15 minutes in making instructions that are useful? I mean, how can you spend so much time in development and so little time on instructions? I don't get it. Anyway, I just had a rant about the 5 days of trying to get my computer running for some stupid software, and how come every time I do something, it's a pain in the ass, you know? I'll give you another example. So I'm a do-it-yourselfer kind of guy. So I want to clear some property here, so I'm knocking trees down. I got to pull these stumps out, and I ended up buying some little Oliver row crop. Had a little back blade and that to do snow and shit, but it don't have like a backhoe on it, and you need the backhoe to dig the bigger stumps out and or get a stump grinder. I'm like, well, I'll get a backhoe and whatever. So I'm looking around for backhoes, and I'm cheap, so I find one not running for like $1,500. Like, worst case scenario, I have to rebuild the motor. It's a diesel, big fucking 4,500 Ford. Don't have no weld marks on it. It's fucking in really good shape for its age. So I had to spend a lot of time finding somebody to get it to my house, but I finally found this guy on Craigslist, did it for $100, pretty cheap. So he gets it here. So, you know, most of those you can rebuild right inside the frame. Not the one I bought. No. You have to take the whole front nose off it, find a way to hold it up, pulling it out with cherry picker in the middle of the yard. I got the motor finally in my garage. I got to rebuild it. But of course, anything I buy can't fucking be where everything else. You can just rebuild it right inside the frame. No, I got to jerk the whole fucking motor off. Big pain in the ass. Anyway, everything I touch seems to be a big fucking project, and it's fine. It all works out in the long run. It's just I have shitty luck, and anytime people write instructions, it's just horrible. So that's my rant for today. Come back tomorrow. The band will be ranting a little bit, so have a good evening.